everybody, it's Chris from the Evermore podcast, Newcastle United podcast, and the Evermore YouTube channel. Just back with the post-match reviews, really, for the start of the season. We've kicked off the season in fine form, winning against Nottingham Forest today, 2-0 at St James's Park. Absolutely brilliant performance. We're going to get stuck right into that in a second. Just before we do a little bit of housekeeping, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button. We're so close to 1,500. I'd love you to get us there if you can. I think we're about 15 away. So if you haven't already, please click the button, hit the notification bell. You're not missing any of the videos, whether it be the weekly podcast Mondays and Wednesdays or the previews or reviews that we're doing right now. So let's get stuck into it then. So yeah, Newcastle United took on Nottingham Forest today. The opening game of the new Premier League season. Expectation was high. WorFlags, again, smashed it out of the park. Brilliant displays. Flags all over the place. 52,000 there. Brilliant atmosphere, unbelievable, hairs on the back of your neck type of thing, whether you're there in person, whether you're watching on the TV like I was. It's absolutely incredible, just to see how this club has completely transformed from the feelings of apathy and doom and gloom that were there at the start of last season compared to now. It's just it's night and day, it really is. But let's have a look at the lineup then, how we kind of started the game. So you can see there, it's a picture of our wonderful captain Kieran Trippier. He was in a back four containing Fabian, Schar and Dan Burn. Surprisingly, we were all thinking maybe Botman would get the call, but Eddie Howe stuck with Schar and Burn, and rightly so after the way they finished last season. Dan Burn hasn't put a foot wrong. Matty Target at left back. Nick Pope, obviously the new signing, started in between the sticks with Dubravka at the bench. Again, there might be a bit of movement in this Dubravka at Leicester deal, as part of the Maddison thing. I'm going to keep an eye on that. I think we all should, because I don't think Dubravka's going to be very happy being a substitute goalkeeper. But going to the midfield, we had the two Brazilians. We had Bruno and Joe Linton. Joe Willock came in. I predicted to be Sean Longstaff, but like Eddie Howe showed a bit of ambition, a bit of adventurous there, willingness to attack by playing Joe Willock, and we'll get stuck into what I thought about Joe Willock in a minute. And then the front three of Miggy, ASM and Callum Wilson just to round us up there. So a decent side, to be fair. We have obviously had some frustrations in the attacking elements of signing players. We really hope we were going to get a few more faces in. Likes of Diaby being linked through the summer. Ekitike obviously fell away the wayside. The Maddison links recently. It would have been nice to have had a couple of new attacking faces in there, but to be honest with you, today we didn't need it. I thought we were absolutely dominant. I said that in the preview. I know some Forest fans engaged with us. Top guys, thank you so much for watching, guys. But I thought we'd be dominant. I thought Newcastle United at home. Nobody's won more games in 2022 in the Premier League other than City, Liverpool, and Spurs, I believe, than us. So we were going into this on a high. Yes, the season had ended, but because we kicked in so high gear the second half of the season, and then the pre-season's been pretty decent as well, with our players being bang at it, the likes of Miggy, Maxi and Wilson. So yeah, I was very confident going to this game, right? So I predicted 3-1, but it was obviously 2-0 in the end. It probably should have been more, in all fairness. We had a hatful of chances. Started the game, the atmosphere was up, bouncing, massive credit to everybody on the ground there. It was unbelievable. Forest fans are buzzing to be back in the Premier League, and there's possibly no better atmosphere to be in than St James's Park for your first game. So as much as they didn't like the result, I'm sure they would have enjoyed the experience. But Forest were poor. We were brilliant, but Forest looked light years away from a Premier League side. Jesse Lingard was in their lineup. He was getting a bit of a hard time from our fan base, getting booed. I think he'll get even worse next week against West Ham. But he just looked off the pace. I think Craig Hope even tweeted that as well. In that midfield, Joe Willock, Joe Linton, and Bruno is just what an absolute midfield master this guy is. I sometimes have to pinch myself to remember this guy's playing for us. He's absolutely phenomenal as a footballer. He slows everything down. He's got such a coolness on the ball. Some of the passes he was threading through to likes of Almiron, to Max. It was unbelievable. It really was. He's just such a good footballer. People like Jack Colback, who is an all right professional footballer. He's probably not a Premier League standard player, but he'll give you a shift. Didn't know how to live with Bruno. Bruno was winning free kicks left, right, and centre. I thought Joe Willock was outstanding today. His pace, his endeavour. He looked like he was bang up for it, Joe Willock. Obviously he even got a couple of shots off that were blocked by our defenders. Joe Linton, again, I think he didn't have one of his barnstormer games, but he had a lot of good patches in the game. He should have scored in the first half with a beautiful bit of play, kind of ran past 2 or 3 players. And then the easiest part you would have thought would be tucked away. He kind of just shanked it wide a little bit, but he was very dominant. He was winning the ball back, good in the air, strong as always. But it was really exciting to see that midfield. I think with Willock being at it as well. I would have liked Willock to have got a goal. It would have been a good way to kickstart his confidence, I think. But I think the midfield were absolutely brilliant. The back four, you can't fault them. I mean, Nick Pope had nothing to do. If you look at the stats, literally, we had 58% of the ball. They had 42. Goalkeeper saves. Dean Henderson had to make 7 and Nick Pope made none. But what Nick Pope had to do, he did quite well. He came out, he commanded his box well. He collected the ball from a couple of crosses and that, and he got the ball out to his defence quite quickly. A couple of nice long throws, a couple of steady away kick outs. So he didn't have a hard day at the office, did Nick Pope, but what he had to do, he did all right. Dean Henderson had a lot more of a tougher game, I think, as well. We were like a knife through Forest most of the time. Their star men that they were looking at, Lingard well off the pace, Boston at midfield really. A couple of times he hit a nice little through ball through, I think it was to Surridge, but nothing really came of it. Dan Burn was brilliant. Fabian Schar was outstanding as well today. He went down with a clattered head and we thought he might have come off, and then he stood up. And I've got to talk about it. The ball comes in the edge of the box. It was a throwback to the Burnley game, I think it was, when Schar has this capability of just hitting this absolute thunder bastard out of nowhere. Totally unchallenged. You would have thought Forest would have done their homework and try to close him down. They gave him time to pick a spot. They gave him time to take a shot, and it just flew in the back of the net. And it was an absolutely fucking brilliant goal. 10 minutes into the second half, which really, I think once we got that goal, we should have had that goal in the first half. We should have been 2 or 3-0 up in the first half. But once we got that goal, that was it. Forest were dead and buried. They had nothing to come back with. Arguably, they had nothing to come back with. They were back 5 in it. They were playing 2 whole midfielders. I think they were playing for a draw. The star men like Lingard was poor. Brennan Johnson was poor. He didn't get a sniff. He was trying to use his pace, but Dan Burn was using his positional sense and his experience a lot better, as was Schar. He wasn't getting around either one of those, to be fair. Trippier and Target had good games as well, steady away games, good defensively. Little bit lacking going forward, I think, the pair of them. But Miggy had a good game, very good game, as did ASM. He looked very up for this. These are the kind of games where ASM really steps forward, to my eyes, and just shows how good he is. Against players like this, he can skin them all day long. It's against the bigger teams that, you sometimes worry he's overdoing it a little bit. But I think they were both good today. So obviously Schar gets the first goal, absolutely amazing. And, we're really in the ascendancy there. And Callum Wilson's second goal was just, what a finish. I mean, if you ever have any doubts that Callum Wilson is an England international striker, you just look at that goal. There's not many strikers in the league who would be able to pull that finish off like Callum Wilson did. He was asked after the game and he said he wants to go to the World Cup. If he stays fit, which I know is a huge if, he's got to go to the World Cup, because outside of Harry Kane, I don't think there's a better English finisher in terms of a pure out-and-out striker than Callum Wilson. Yes, he's 30 years old, but that doesn't stop you being a great goal scorer at any level, top Premier League football or international level. But when you can pull off a finish like that past an England international goalkeeper, then you really are at the top of your game. I just hope that we can keep him fit. We do need some backup strikers. I think you have to be able to rest Callum in games. You have to be able to rest him in games where you maybe think you don't need him from the start, or FA Cup games or League Cup games. You can't just keep playing Wilson week in, week out, because he will get injured and he will break down. So I really hope we do get that other player in to give him that little bit of cover. He even said it in his own podcast with Mikel Antonio, the football podcast, which is a brilliant listen. If you haven't listened to that, go check that out. I think it's on BBC Sounds. But he even said he needs the kind of backup, in terms of the need to have those other players in, and it's probably exactly what he means. If he has to play 50-odd games in the season or whatever, 40-odd games in the season, he's going to burn out. So we don't need that. So the Callum Wilson we saw today is the kind of player we want week in, week out. And if he's fit and he's acting like that, he's going to be unstoppable. He'll get 20 plus goals this season, no doubt. But yeah, all in all, just a fantastic performance. I mean, man of the match for me, there was a lot of really good performances. I mentioned I was really impressed with Willock. I thought, Burn was good. But for me, the standout player, well, a shadow of a doubt, was Bruno Guimaraes. Just this kid is an unbelievable footballer. Everything that we did went through him. The passing, his ability, his positional sense. He was winning so many free kicks as well. He has this ability just to get himself in front of the player with the ball and win a free kick. It's unbelievable. When you've got players like Trippier on your side who are capable, like he is, from set pieces, and if we did sign Maddison, who's also very good from set pieces, you can imagine how many free kicks Bruno's going to win for these guys. Man, he's just such a good footballer. There was a little bit of rust today in elements. I think if this had been 2 or 3 weeks down the line, I think we potentially would have won this game 4-5-0. How many attacking positions we got into. There was a little bit of rustiness. The final ball at times was a little bit poor. I think Miggy looks a lot better this season. Pace, tenacity, wins the ball back, presses. But it's just when he gets in the final third, that decision making, that ball. I think it was was it the first half where he had to square it just I think the edge of the penalty spot, and he overhit the pass. And there's a couple of times where he just didn't find the right ball, but that'll come with Miggy. I think that the rustiness will come off, and I think all the players have still got a little bit of pre-season rust. But yeah, today was just a brilliant performance, and as I said, compared to last season, the contrast is incredible. We've got this ownership that are just so optimistic, so engaging with us all as fans. Telling us that the future's bright, reassuring us everyone's going to be okay. Training grounds getting invested in, the squad's been invested in, and Sven Botman came on at the end, a couple of touches and great cheers from the crowd. He'll definitely play more games than he spends on the bench for Newcastle this season. There's no doubt about that. I think Eddie Howe might very well be transitioning him in a little bit like he did with Bruno potentially. It'd be interesting to see if he plays against City in a couple of weeks against Haaland, but we're all keen to see what Haaland does against West Ham tomorrow. But I have a feeling that Botman might go up against Haaland just because he's a little bit quicker and a little bit sharper potentially than Burn. But we'll wait and see what happens there. So we've got Brighton coming up next, obviously down at the Amex. It's never an easy game with Brighton. They do play nice football, but I think we're going in real form here. And if we could continue that form going to that Brighton game, I'd back us to get another win as well. To be honest with you, I really would. It feels refreshing as a Newcastle fan this season to go into games and expect to get a win or a draw. We had this at the back end of last season. Even the big games we're going in against, your Liverpools and your Cities, we weren't necessarily expecting to win handsomely, but we're expecting to put in a good shift and make a stab at getting a result, which we never had in the previous managers, certainly the last one, where you turned up and it was just a question of how many goals you're going to concede a day, just try and keep the score down. So, it makes your goal difference look good. But those days are gone now, with this new manager, these new group of lads, the future's just so bright, as the display from WorFlags said today, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, and we're all feeling good. And that result was just a perfect way to start the season. So absolutely buzzing with that. Really, really dominant performance, and I think a lot of people will be expecting big things from us, not just our own fan base, but maybe outside of it as well. And if we can add a couple of bits of quality to that squad, because the bench still did look a bit threadbare for quality. When you look at the bench, you got likes of Jacob Murphy coming on and Wood. You're thinking, it's maybe okay against Nottingham Forest, who I think were quite naive today. In all fairness, Nottingham Forest, I'm not sure what the game plan was, but they were completely bossed off the pitch by a steady Premier League side, really, in Newcastle United. So they're going to have to find different gears and different tactics, I think, moving forward, or they're going to be in real trouble. But we're going to have much tougher games than that. Next week against Brighton will be a tougher game than that. And the week after that against City will be a real litmus test as to how we're looking as a squad. Probably good time to get them out of the way, really, this early in the season, because any rustiness is gone, and you don't have to worry about key times of the season when maybe you need the results more than you do in the first couple of games. But yeah, I think the starting 11 is looking decent, but outside of that, we are lacking some real quality. Yes, so I'd like to see a couple of real quality players come in, potentially starters. The likes of a backup striker for Callum Wilson. If we can get the Maddison deal done, I'm not sure that there was news that we're going to pull away from the deal, so I'm not entirely sure what's happening with that one. But you'd like to get more quality into the squad, just so we don't have to rely on the likes of your Jacob Murphys, your Chris Woods, even Elliot Anderson. We're all expecting big things of the lad, but we shouldn't be expecting a 19-year-old to come in and do the job here, and unless he comes on and absolutely blows it out of the water, then fair play. Eddie Howe knows better than I do. But yeah, I still think we need one or two, as does Eddie Howe by the sound of it. But yeah, unbelievable performance today, just pure dominant. It just looks like a completely different Newcastle United than the one that started last season. And yeah, I'm feeling really confident about this season. I think a lot of people predict us to be in the top 10. I don't think that's a far stretch, really. If we continue to play games like that and be as dominant as that in games, then we won't be far off. So that's absolutely brilliant. Get in 3 points. Absolutely buzzing with that. As I mentioned at the start, if you haven't already, please click that like and subscribe button. We'd love you to come and join us. Try and get us to 1,500 if you can. We're really, really close. And then we'll hopefully be pushing to 2,000. Mark and I will be back with what's going on Monday. We'll cover a bit about this game and obviously talk a little bit about what's going on with the club. Then me and the lads will be back on Wednesday for another Evermore. And we'll be catching up on the results and bits and bobs as well. So make sure you keep it Evermore. Let's keep supporting that team of Coy Night. Have a class night. Celebrate a win, whatever you do, and have a beer or two, or just enjoy it. And we'll catch you next time. Cheers.